Hello and welcome to episode 79. I'm so pleased you're here with me today because I've got a real treat for you. I'm starting to interview some of my former clients who I feel have got really inspiring leadership journeys that they can share with you. So today we're going to be talking to Maria Norowzian about ambition, hard work, flow, and redefining success on your terms. So if you've ever wondered why leadership transitions can feel unexpectedly hard, especially that step from head of to director, then you're going to really enjoy this conversation. We're also going to be talking about the mindset shift that senior leaders need to make from having the answers to influencing and enabling others. Plus, how curiosity, growth mindset, and seeking steep learning curves accelerated Maria's career. But Maria is incredibly honest, and she's also going to be talking about the reality of leadership mistakes, self-doubt, and feeling exposed in bigger roles. Plus, she'll share the role coaching played in helping her build confidence, navigate complexity, and lead at a more strategic level. Let me tell you a little bit more about Maria. She's a marketing director with over 20 years' experience leading commercial growth across some of the UK's most recognisable consumer brands, from McDonald's and KFC to Gail's Bakery, Itsu and ATG Entertainment. She's known for transforming brands at pivotal moments, reversing sales declines, opening new markets and building the marketing infrastructure that allows businesses to scale. She's here to talk about what it really takes to grow, both as a leader and as a brand. Let's dive into the conversation. Maria, hello, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. Very looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, me too. And I wanted to invite clients on that I've worked with who've got really inspirational leadership journeys to share. And I know you've got a lot you can share with my listeners today. Now, I think we started working together, I think it was December 24, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
quite a long time ago. And when you were just about to start your new job, if you don't mind, just tell everybody who's listening a bit about what you're currently doing.
Of course, yes. Currently, I'm at ATG Entertainment, which is the world's largest theatre company. Many people wouldn't know the name, but it operates 74 venues across the world. I am Group and UK Hospitality Director. And what that means is I've got accountability to grow the hospitality business within the UK, bars, new ideas to spend when people are at the theatre, but also globally, I run innovation. So making sure there are new interesting ideas and reasons to buy for customers around the world.
Sounds amazing. I'm dying to dive in and find out more about it. You've had an inspirational career. You've worked for lots of different brands besides ATG. Can you walk us through your career journey, like where you started and what inspired you to move to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. I knew I wanted to get into marketing and branding, which is my discipline area from probably in like later years of high school. It was a subject that I was actually just naturally quite good at, studies, and then I pursued it going into university and I studied it as a major, and it just felt really organic and it suited my personality, and I like generative, like new ideas, super optimistic. Straight after I finished university in Sydney, I landed my first role in McDonald's. That was like as a marketing executive, and I was picking out Happy Meal toys and all sorts of other fun things.
I bet your kids wished you still worked
Oh,
there.
yes, they're very, very proud. It's a story that they love hearing about. And it was a great business. I was there for 5 years and I moved over with them into the UK. And then I continued my career within marketing, specializing in the hospitality, retail, quick service restaurant sector. The who's who probably of all the brands that many people know, after McDonald's, KFC, Itsu, Byron, Gail's, and now I'm at ATG.
I love that you knew you wanted to be in marketing from quite an early point, and you managed to keep that flame alive. What do you think you've done to keep that passion for marketing going as you've progressed?
I think within each business, I've been quite intentional about the lessons that I've learned. There's always new steps and an evolution of perspective. Like there's always such a steep learning curve, and that's what keeps me interested and engaged. And it's just endless possibilities that you can generate on your own back. You're not working off the back of somebody else. Your job technically is to create new opportunities. It was always about collecting capabilities, for lack of other better word, which really drove me. So at McDonald's and KFC days, when I was more junior, it was about really disciplined category management, knowing how to spot the opportunity and tell a story through data. Then it evolved into KFC and beyond, into running cross-functional processes, like actually using the business machine to deliver the idea. And so there was a lot of learn within that. Going into Gail's, my perspective shifted even still. So still looking to sharpen those skills, I've added leadership for the first time. That was actually probably quite late. Maybe some people are a little bit earlier when they start to ponder how to be a better leader. But for me, it was like maybe 15 years into my career where I started thinking about that intentionally as I was building a team.
Yeah, so it sounds like you were quite focused about, okay, I want to get these experiences, get these particular skills under my belt. Would you say you had an intentional career plan, or was it?
No, definitely never an intentional career plan, but I have this innate drive to have very, very steep learning curve. And I've got a huge growth mindset. For better or worse, I do believe work does help sharpen and develop us as humans. It's just the way that we've fortunately or unfortunately organized our time on this earth. And so there was a lot of learn within that. And that's what drove me. So it was just constantly learning. And as long as that was super steep, I was very engaged. And every single time that learning curve got a bit flatter, I moved on. Yeah. And so I've kept quite agile, probably more agile than most.
I love that. I love that. I love the fact you want a steep learning curve. You want the challenge of I'm going to have to climb this with a pickaxe and crampons to get up to that.
Totally. Through glass. Honestly, it's like a joke. It took me so long to realize, I was like, why is it always so intense? And everyone else seems to be really chilled out. And then what is it about the jobs that I'm in? And then I realized it was me.
It's good to know what drives you and makes you successful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the leadership piece then. So you said you came to that quite late, potentially. What was the turning point at Gail's?
It was two things and two lessons I'm still learning. It's about building a team. So I had the first opportunity to build a team in Itsu, and I didn't do that super well. Like I made loads of mistakes. I didn't hire well. I managed workflows. And so I went to Gail's and I had to redo that exercise with those learns. So that was a big, steep learning curve and driver. And then the second one was me being promoted into a director, which for me was one of the biggest leaps. Everything else felt super incremental, but the directorship felt very different. And I very much struggled with how I was to direct and what the difference with directing was versus heading.
That's really interesting. So that felt like the biggest stretch for you, that move from head of to director.
Definitely.
I mean, I guess if you were looking back on that, what would you do differently, do you think? To make that easier, to make that, that transition from head of to director easier?
Gosh, it's so hard to say because at the time I was fortunate where Gail's had access to an executive coach, and I went to her and I asked, I was like, what is it to be a director? And she gave some great advice around like the biggest mindset shift is it's not about being right and having the answers. It's about getting people there. And it's about thought partnering with other senior leaders across the business, like from a pure leadership stance, not a how to be good within that business function sense, which is a different topic. And so I wouldn't do anything different because I think it takes pain and mistakes to have that leap of consciousness, and it was incredibly painful. And I also had young kids at the time, and I just didn't stop. I woke up super early and worked till late. I was very rough with myself. Would I have been less rough or taken it easy? and thought more. I just don't think that's even a practical thought.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you've been so honest, because we don't, I think particularly as leaders, talk about failure or things being hard or being difficult or making mistakes. So I think the fact you've been really honest about that was quite a difficult time, and that you had to try things and fail and learn, and it was painful. It's helpful for people, because sometimes you feel like you've got to be this perfect leader and step from head of department into director role, and it's all smooth and easy, and often it's not. But it's great that you had access to a coach. When we started working together, you were about to start a new role. Can you maybe tell people a bit about why you wanted to work with a coach at this point, and what the difference in the role was from director to your current role?
Of course. Yeah, I was very intentional about what I was trying to do. I have a long career in marketing and branding, and that's my subject matter expertise. It's like a good 20 years. And I was moving into a role that was intentionally beyond that. So I was to run a department and own the P&L and all the economics around that. It was beyond just driving revenue, which was what I'm used to. It was about costs, it's about labor, it's about other elements of the business. I felt I was hired with the skill I had, so they knew exactly who they were getting, because I showed them that exactly. I felt really confident there. But I was scared, and I wasn't confident that I had the skills to really, like, all the capabilities to switch into this new requirement of me. I knew how to do the marketing thing, and I knew how to manage marketeers, because I've done it all. But in this instance, it required a whole business sense, and I'm managing people within departments that I've never worked in.
Okay. So it was a steeper learning curve than any steep curve you'd had before, I'm guessing, from what you said.
Yeah, I felt quite exposed.
And as you said, stepping beyond your marketing function. So you were struggling with, can I do this? That's why you got in touch with me. What were you hoping to achieve through the coaching?
I wanted some tools and techniques to get me through. I actually didn't know exactly what I was expecting. I was still quite young in the coaching experience. The coach, from what I experienced in Gail's, wasn't as practical as what I was trying to find here. I was really honest. I was like, I don't have the skill sets. I haven't done this before, and I have to now do it. How do I?
So getting some real know-how, but confidence in what you already had, because you did have a lot of it already. It was just recognizing it, I think.
Well, I guess, yeah, that was the second part, because I didn't come to coaching for that confidence, although that was a huge part of it. It was so lovely to have an impartial person that could be a little bit of a cheerleader and give you a mirror that you didn't see. I didn't see that I had it. I didn't know I needed that reinforcement.
It's quite common with a lot of people I work with at senior leadership. You're so focused on supporting other people, supporting the business. You're not really cementing the value that you're bringing and understanding the impact that you have just by the energy that you bring and the way of being. What would you say was the most valuable part of the coaching process?
Well, there was probably two big ones. One that I'm still exploring, but the first one was actually, you gave me such incredible tools. I think it was that first 90 Days book. It was the exact thing I needed to organize my mind and thoughts. And then you also explored at the same time. So you unlocked and loosened thoughts around skills or capabilities I had that were transferable in a way that I wouldn't have thought, because I was maybe a little bit clouded with a fear. So I didn't see things clearly.
It helped you recognise, as we said, what you were bringing and how you could transfer those skills. And also some of the practical things about starting a new job. And the book that Maria is referring to is The First 100 Days by Neve O'Keefe. And I'll put a link in the show notes for people if you wanted to access that book. But it is great when you are thinking about starting a new role, because it does help you think through all the elements that are going to be important in creating impact and success in those first 90 to 100 days.
That was like transformational, and for me to have come in with that already behind me, I felt like I was in front, not behind. And then with all of the new information that comes you like a fire hose in the first 6 months, you're able to organize it to a core, which helped, again, kept me clear and uncluttered.
And we worked together over, I think it was 6-7 months, maybe a bit longer. The first part was definitely helping you get clear about what you were bringing and your impact. How would you say it helped you more in the later stages?
I think this is where I was still unlocking, and I think there's a huge opportunity for me to continue unlocking this. You were really good at talking about the blind spots. I knew what I knew because I had a lot of things to work on, so I was focused on that, and a lot of that was in the doing of my role. And where you focused my attention and tried to drive the conversation was like the areas of relationships, for instance, with the other senior leaders in the organization. That was really important. How I showed up in senior meetings where there was a collective. And you really asked of me to explore that topic a bit more. I think I didn't really go there because I was still so worried about my day-to-day. But I know that that's vital, like how you show up in the group. I know that that's what leadership is. So you were right to bring me there.
I know what a passionate and enthusiastic leader you are, because I've seen that through the work we've done together. What do you find inspiring about leadership? Like, what's good leadership for you?
When I think of good leadership, like the things that I really value is, firstly, a clear vision is vital, something that is energizing and has some goals attached, but it's not financially driven. Of course, there's KPIs around that, but something visionary that feels like you're building a thing, or it's a solution to get money, but money's not the primary vision. I look for somebody that articulates a strong vision, and I look for like calm and space from good leadership. That's the kind of people or who I want to emulate and who I find the most strong as leaders.
Yeah, I love that clear vision, so everybody knows what they're working towards and how they're going to get there, but then given the space to make it happen and not having that chaotic, constant changing of minds or direction that puts people into a bit of a spin, and then they can never be successful because they can't achieve because the goalposts are always moving.
Completely. Or like cluttering the environment with too much information, like not only just changing direction, but just over talking, over communicating, and over checking up and continuously like adding to the workload. That would be my biggest fear of a leader.
And people listening to the podcast are at different stages in their careers. What advice would you give to somebody who wants to progress their career? Maybe they're a manager or a head of department now. What advice would you give them? Because you've progressed quite quickly in your career to get to that global director role.
Truthfully, I think the two things that come up most are be curious and show curiosity and show proactivity always. Always be in front, like especially with your boss. Always be on the front foot and for them to feed back to. Don't wait for instruction. I think that's for me, like number one, make their lives easier. And show curiosity, because then you're always looking for new opportunities or new ways of doing things. And I think those are the key things. And then also just work hard. Like I have not met a person that is successful that doesn't work incredibly hard. And in senior leadership, I feel like there's almost like a myth of like as you grow, you're like, oh, I can't wait to be a leader and then I don't have to do as much. I feel like it's more. It's actually more that is being asked, especially of modern times. A lot of the things that we're doing to build up that work ethic is I think building up a general sense of capacity to be able to handle more and more complexity or change or volume.
Yeah, curiosity is a fantastic strength for anybody to have in their career, because you're right, it just opens up possibilities and changes and things to be different. The working hard one, that's quite a challenging one, isn't it? Because we've got to be mindful of our health and our balance with working hard. But I think what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is about work ethic in terms of being committed, of putting in the energy, of managing the complexity and the ambiguity. I know that you do work incredibly hard in terms of hours, but what would you say about getting the balance right as a senior leader where, you know, there are huge demands on you?
I know what you mean about and perhaps work hard is of a language of a different era. To be honest, that is what it is. And there's no hiding behind it. If you want to be successful and grow quickly, that's the only way. For me, I'm obsessively driven, like intellectually, like I want to learn, and it becomes almost like an itch to scratch. So I really want to solve a problem. So it's not like I'm working hard and it's painful. When you're working on a problem or working within your flow, you actually have more energy, not less, and then more energy to put into your external life because you're in flow.
That's a really good point. I'm grateful that you picked me up on that, because working hard isn't always painful. Like you say, if you are in flow and if you love what you do, then you are going to have more energy to do the hard stuff. And also you're talking about, if you want to fast track in your career, then that does require additional commitment to make that happen. But if that's what drives you, then you can see the benefit of doing that. So if someone was thinking about having some coaching, if they were going to choose a coach, what advice would you give them?
Well, the best piece of advice I would give is like, just look at anyone that's successful in the public sphere, like any athletes or business people. There is not one that doesn't have one. Not one. So like, that's got to tell you something. And it does feel like a luxury, but it's like, less than like an expensive dinner. Like it's just the stories you tell yourself about what you're investing in or what that delivers to you. I didn't appreciate just how helpful it is, how much wisdom lies within, and it helps you unearth like true innate skills, interests, personality, values that are the heart of you. Like that is who you are. That is what people buy, much more so as you become a leader than even your technical skills. And so I think this is valuable at any stage of your life. The earlier, probably the better, because you have like a deeper sense of calm or knowing of yourself. I was ready for it when I had it this time. I don't think I would have been ready for it before.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that. It's great. You can be my saleswoman.
Oh, marketing. No, yeah. Can't help myself.
Okay, I've got one last question for you, Maria, before I let you go. The podcast is called Unstuck and Unstoppable. What does being unstuck and unstoppable mean to you?
Oh, this is a great question. I think at this point in my career, like I'm constantly looking to evolve and move on and build my perspective and consciousness, etc. In this time in my life, it's about like really knowing your why. So unstuck and really like connecting with it. And I think that's so hard to even know and almost trusting it. So for me, my why now, looking at where I'm going, is I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like for me, that's like this extra kind of roof that I want to take off because I need that freedom. I want to be unstuck from the box of having to mold somebody else's product or vision. I want to create myself. So I want to be unstuck and unstoppable in my new why of, being emancipated and free to create.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's a fantastic definition, and I love the fact that you've connected it to where you're heading as well. So I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much for giving us your time to be on the podcast. If people want to connect with you, should they find you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
I'll put
please.
a link in the show notes for you to contact Maria if you want to. So thank you so much for being on the podcast, and it's been lovely having you here. So that's it for today's episode of Unstuck and Unstoppable. I really hope you enjoyed our conversation, and I also hope that hearing about Maria's approach to her career and leadership has inspired you. What really stands out is how intentional Maria has been in getting the right skills and experience to position her to achieve success in her career. A big thank you to Maria for sharing her experience and approach so openly and honestly. And if you enjoyed this episode, do follow or subscribe so you don't miss future ones.